the Seed School of Los Angeles County, April 27th, 8 a.m. Well, it's actually 8:03. Meeting is called to order.
Good morning, everybody. Let's just do a quick roll call. Let's see, Miss Isabella Costa.
Present.
Miss Sarah Ali.
Present.
Miss Sophia Echeverria. No, Sophia. Mr. Rod Hamilton.
Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Jackie Kimbrough. Miss Jennifer Price Lester.
Here. Good morning.
Good morning. And Miss Ruth Stalford.
Present.
All right, it seems that we have quorum available. Does everyone consent and acknowledge that this session will be recorded today?
Yes.
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 All right. And with that, I think we can move into the financing update. Or did anyone else have anything they want to start with? Sorry, I didn't mean to take control of the meeting, Ruth. I'll pass it back to you and let you.
No, knock yourself out. Well, with that being said, we can move into the next section of the meeting, which is the financing update and approvals, and I'll turn it over to the team.
Great. So I would say, so we have to get one approval. So why don't we start with the resolution, Woody, and then, well, the financing update is that we are very close. I think that's what Anita and I would say. I'm looking at you, Anita, and Laura. I think we are very close finalizing documents, and I believe we will start to close as of this Friday. Anita and Laura. Anita saying yes. So
Yes. Yes.
And when I say close, I mean really close, as I am yet signing another 343-page document as we speak. Yes. So I know it's uneventful, but that's the update, Ruth.
Okay, so we are going to need to approve these. We're going to have a resolution to approve these.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Let me make a note here, Ruth, that these are the same resolutions, I believe, would he correct me, that we actually approved last week, but we are updating. As we recall, we needed to remove Anita. Anita actually retired as the CFO on record for the Seed School of Los Angeles. And then we added Miss Sarah Ali as the secretary and CFO. And so we needed to approve these resolutions with those new officers, just because we're record keeping. I also want to note that we will actually revisit all officers at the end of the summer to make sure we have all seats filled with the right individuals with the right talents and skills. And then also consider what empty seats that we need in terms of the board, or the board will consider what additional seats they need to fill. So just wanted to note that. And so Ruth, same resolutions as last week, new officers, and therefore I'm not sure that we have to go through all of the details of the resolution, but that's what we have in front of us.
Right. Unless someone has any question. Yep.
I do have questions. I'm sorry. I apologize. I wasn't on last week's meeting. They're pretty minor questions. The first is that early on in the intro, it says that Seed LA was formed to operate one or more public charter schools. Do we ever anticipate opening more than one charter?
In this moment, no, but I think that, Isabel, we actually reserve the right to actually have a middle school. So
Got it.
So that was really part of that.
That's okay. Okay. And then the last question I had is Seed LA Support Corporation. The purpose is not only to maintain the development, but also the finances, correct, of the of the building.
Anita, Nelora.
Or do I have that incorrect?
Or wait, you
I
got
think
it?
it's the
Anita?
facilities, right, Nalora?
Yes, its purpose is to oversee the development of facilities for the school, but it can also take on the role of support in the terms of other fundraising for the operations of the school as well.
I see that
So
Brian
can it-
Holman is
I was gonna say, I
joining.
think Brian just joined. He might be able to
He's
provide
been
a.
better.
Might be able to
I
clarify
was
that,
literally
right?
gonna say, is Brian on, and could we please ask him that question? I think you could explain it.
Good morning, Brian. Welcome.
Let me wait for
He's
him
not
to
there.
connect to audio.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll wait for him to
Perfect.
connect.
Dive right in, Brian. Right, we're just gonna throw you in the deep end. Okay, let us know when you're on, Brian.
Hello.
Hi, Brian, this is Isabel. I'm a board member. The question I asked, which everyone is thinking that you might be able to answer, is there's a paragraph on the first page of the resolution, which we're about to approve, that talks about Seed LA facilities, or the Seed LA Facilities LLC undertakes the development. But my
Yes.
question was, doesn't it also undertake the financing of the boarding school as well as the development?
Well, it's going to be the borrower of lots of loans as set forth in the resolution. And by the way,
Exactly.
I'm sorry I'm late, but I was catching up. I just forwarded to the group revised resolutions that update some of the numbers. But yes, it is going to be the primary borrower. This is a complicated financial structure, as you are aware. So CLA will be borrowing lots of money, about $25 million plus the bridge loan, and then it will be investing or making itself a loan to the so-called investment fund that will be making equity investments in companies that will then be lending to seed facilities. Seed facilities will separately be borrowing money from Chase and 4 of the CDFIs, and that will fund the project together with about a $7 million equity or capital contribution by CDLA. So yeah, yes, it is undertaking the financing of the project as sort of our other entities.
Does the language need to reflect that?
I think it does. If you go through the resolution, it talks about seed facilities borrowing this and that money and using all those monies to fund the development of the project.
Okay.
Okay, is that answer your question, Isabel?
That answers my questions. Yeah, and I'm fine with approval. I guess I haven't seen the updated numbers, but I'm fine with approval with the resolution with the updated language around including the financing as well as the development of the boarding school.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions related to this? No? Do we have a resolution slide, or do we just want to, need to do anything?
As I said, I circulated just 3 minutes ago an updated draft, and I would hope that your motion would include reference to that one. And then you just need someone to make a motion, and you need to have a second and a vote.
Brian, could you quickly, is there a way to quickly highlight what the changes are between what we saw this morning and what you just sent 3 minutes ago?
Yes. The amount of the bridge loan being made by Chase, which is a one-day loan required through the financing structure, certain loans have to be made sort of at the top of the finance chain. They flush out to the bottom and get reimbursed, has gone up from 3-something million to 4-something million. That doesn't really affect anything because it's just a one-day loan. I added a reference to the subordination agreement that the foundation is executing because CDLA is a party to that, and I'm, sort of preparing parallel resolutions for the foundation. I want them all to sort of be equal. I think there may have been some cleanup language that didn't affect anything substantively, reflecting the fact that let me just check what you guys sent here. Hold on a second.
Okay, so the motion would be moves to accept the revised resolutions. Do we need to spell out which adds the reference to the Seed Foundation subordination agreement and updates the amount of the JP Morgan Chase bridge loan? We'll just add that in just so that covers.
Yeah, you can add that in. Also, I specifically referenced the Second Amendment to the development agreement because we now have that document. And it includes the revised ground lease, but it's not a substantive change.
Okay.
So, yeah, the motion would be to approve the resolutions as most recently circulated.
Just quickly, Brian, I get that the Chase bridge loan is a one-day loan, but an increase of $1 million seems like a substantial amount to me. Is there a reason behind the increase?
I'm sure the answer to that's yes. I can't off the top of my head or easily tell you exactly why that number has gone up.
I think Anita and Laura can.
Yeah. Laura could probably.
I'm on mute.
But let me explain sort of what happens is that the CLA is being reimbursed for costs that it has incurred. And that money has to sort of come out at the bottom of the financing structure. And I think because of that additional money that comes out at the bottom, CLA has to fund more of equity at the sort of at the top of the structure, so that because the way the new market tax credit people work, they need to trace all the flows of funds exactly, and it makes it complicated for them just to try and offset and net and deem things made. They like to see and follow wire transfer flows of funds. So somewhere along the way, some expenses or loan fees or something have gone up, and so this sort of interim financing where seed needs to put money in at the beginning of the transaction that gets out at the bottom, those numbers have gone up, and so the bridge loan has gone up.
That makes sense. Thank you, Brian.
Any other questions? Okay, well, let's bring the motion. I'll bring the motion. The CLA board moves to accept and adopt the most recent revised 2021 financing resolutions as presented and discussed at the April 27th, 2021 meeting. Is there a second?
I second the motion. This is Isabel.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Ruth Stalford, aye.
Isabella Costa, aye.
Aye.
Jennifer Price Lesher, aye.
Rod Hamilton, aye.
And Isabel, you were an aye, right? Isabella Costa? It was just overlap with Sarah.
Aye.
Okay,
So there's 5 ayes and 2 absence.
right. So the motion is carried. Resolution is approved.
Winnie, what's next on the agenda?
In the budget overview.
Budget overview is next.
Yeah.
I think that'll just take a minute, Ruth, and I will do that. I think I mentioned last week, which really seems like years ago, but I mentioned last week that as soon as we close, we were going to turn toward fundraising for the ramp up year, and just wanted to just give a quick update, and we'll give a really very detailed overview at the next board meeting of all of the details. But Woody, if I can just share my screen for a second. I'll just sort of walk everyone through it. And this still says you've disabled. Rebecca, I'm going to share my screen unless you have something, a document you want to share. No?
I don't.
Okay, great. No, I just wanted to make sure I acknowledged it. Okay, thanks, Woody. Yeah, so I will just sort of do a quick, can everyone see my random Excel spreadsheet there?
Yes.
Yes, great. So there are currently 3 buckets, but one is just some of it is XED, the Seed Foundation, and the Seed School of Los Angeles. And Anita and Leslie will provide a detailed breakdown of all of these buckets. And I will note that some of it is around the setup of the accounting systems and the reporting systems, which the more I read, the more it just seems very complicated. I'm just grateful for XED. And then just the continual construction management and financing management. And so I will note that Nelora has had like multiple hats on through this financing process to include just the, sort of co-partnering with Sean Reagan, who is the construction manager for the Seed Foundation. But also she's been the interface with the county and the community on a number of other fronts. And so those are just the expenses that we anticipate over the next year. And again, Anita has provided and will provide a breakdown of those expenses. They are a little higher than what Anita outlined because I think I wanted to account for just some of the construction management and relationship management that's going to happen between all of our capital partners. And then there's just the work for the Seed Foundation, which, some of them will probably look very familiar. It's just head of school onboarding to include getting the head of school. And again, I'm noting I'm actually not using the head of school's name on this call on purpose, but just onboarding for the head of school, continuing program design. I think some of you saw some of where Kanikoni and her team are with program design, just some compliance and external authorizer with the county and systems building work. We will in earnest work with the new head of school and the family engagement person starting by the end of the summer around student and family engagement. And then starting the work around college success, project management, fundraising. So Anita and myself and the board will continue to do pretty robust fundraising for the ramp up, the subscale ramp up year and for year 1. And then there's just some construction management work. I think that we deeply, like as the Seed Foundation enters into this completion guarantee, we want to make sure that we are paying close attention to the construction project, like we all project itself on a week-to-week, if not day-to-day basis. And then there's just some work in terms of collateral communications and marketing that we will. And then just some direct costs to this, will be the head of school and the family engagement, salaries, and then some travel for both the family engagement person and the head of school, and then event planning. Our goal is to have a formal event in December. Mark here, can we do a save the date, Rebecca, for December 9th and 10th? And then there has been a request from the head of school to consider bringing on a few personnel people earlier than July 1st, so that they can do some early training in May. And so where that brings us is about $2.4 million. We currently have we have at least about $500,000 that we've already raised. We set aside, we received $1 million gift from the Peterson Foundation. I think we noted that last week. We have set aside a portion of that gift for what might potentially be some work on a vapor barrier to ensure some environmental safety, to address some environmental safety concerns. And it may not be as much as $500,000, but we've set it aside. And so this 2.4 really is just south of 2 million, because that Peterson gift has not been taken out. So really our fundraising lift for the next, I'd say 14 months is about 1.4 million. I mean, $1.9 million. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, too. And just wanted to create some transparency in terms of what the expenses are for the project over the next 12 to 18 months. Any questions?
I'm curious if we're not able to raise the 1.9, is there an option B budget?
No, because we're gonna raise it.
Ruth. Okay, just had to ask.
But let me say, as though I'm not being flippant, by the way, just like completely very respectful question. I'm sure it's the question my board will ask me. So I think we're gonna raise it. Like, there are people asking us to fundraise, right? Like, and we have just not been able to pay attention. And I think Rebecca.
No comment on all the conditions at the door.
I think Rebecca is just like begging us to, close.
Ready to go. Ready to go.
I'm pretty confident we're going to, but let me just note, right? Like, we already have set aside to take care of the head of school, right? Like, I think in terms of priorities, like, I think we already have enough. And if we needed to, let's say we have the, we would actually just put the head of school on the C Foundation payroll until time to turn that person until July 1. And then we would just do a reimbursement through the organizations. So I think we'll raise it. I think we just thought it would, it's just super important to be transparent about not only what the work is, but the costs associated with that work. Anita, were you going to say something? Okay. Neil,
No, I completely agree. I have to jump off in 5 minutes, but no, I completely agree. We actually have a lot of people asking, and so I think we'll get there.
There are a lot of people who won't do capital campaigns, and we're past that, so.
Yep, we have a running list and about 300 in pending applications thus far.
Mhm.
that's it for me, Ruth.
Okay, so then does that, the next item is actual fundraising. Do we want to go over some of that, or do we feel like we've done what's?
I think we're good. I think we just wanted to make sure everyone knew what the need was as we start to sketch out the strategy forward.
Right. Okay, great. And we know there's 300 applications out, so we're pretty clear there as far as some strategy. And we'll continue to discuss it and share more information as we have it. So the next, because I know actually a bunch of people have to jump off, and I want to make sure we still have quorum. In fact, I think we have 2 minutes. The next item is the corporate officers. And just to clarify, and I know Leslie actually just talked about this as we were, oh, you know what? One more quick question. What is the target date to have the 1.9 all in, just before we completely come off of the fundraising?
Yeah, I think, can I do that on the next go round? I don't know if you saw that spreadsheet, I'm sort of laying out when all of those things are needed. And I'll do that on the next go round if you guys give me the opportunity.
Great, thank you. So we're going to move into, so first, as Leslie mentioned, Anita had been acting as a CFO. What we're talking about here is the officers for the corporate officers. So Our plan is to, Sarah Ali will be assuming the position of the CFO and the secretary, replacing Anita and Jasmine. She's taking on both roles. Some of you met Jasmine, some of you didn't. Jasmine Simone Morgan was the Director of Strategic Growth and Public Affairs with the Seed Foundation. And we were very lucky to have her for the time that we did. And of course, we were very lucky and grateful to have Anita filling this role for so long and founding this role. So we want to thank them both for their service. And then also thank Sarah for stepping in. So I think we actually have do we have a slide? Do we need to officially do this?
That was actually part of the updated resolutions that Brian sent over. So when we,
So we're done.
that's the acknowledgement. I think is sufficient.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure that it was acknowledged. We really do appreciate everyone's service coming and going. So thank you all so much. And I guess then we technically can move into our open session, which we're gonna, and I just wanted to, I know, thanks Jen. Jen has to jump, a few people have to jump. I just wanted to thank everybody for making so much time on such short notice and being thoughtful and considerate about all of this work. And we really, really appreciate everyone's attention. So are there any other questions? Is there anything anyone wants to bring up before we adjourn?
No, we'll try not to need a meeting before Friday.
Okay,
And our next regularly scheduled meeting is May 12th.
thank you. All right, everybody,
We're good?
I think we're good.
Good?
We're good.
Okay.
Hey, Ruth, if you could sign the resolutions when you have a moment and send me a copy, I'll appreciate it.
Yep, I will do it right when we close this. So it is 8:30 on the dot. Go ahead, Leslie, were you gonna say something?
I asked Woody this when he stopped recording to let me know. And then Brian, can you hold a second?
Yes,
Sure.
let me adjourn the meeting and then Woody will stop recording. It is 8:30 on the dot. The Seed School of Los Angeles County board meeting is officially adjourned.